Thanks indeed for staying with us. The program is this morning on ITV, broadcasting on this all-important day, the 11th month of the year 2019. It's now time for us to talk aviation. Aviation is key strategic here to growing global business here. The big players in the global industry actually flies a lot. Many persons as well still fly. That's why the business, that industry is growing so fast, and it's one industry that differentiate between developed and developing clients. My name is Iharuata. If we could have that communication platform on the screen to quickly tell you about our guest, that will be heavily appreciated. Okay, good. Mr. Godwin N. Ike. The contacts are always displayed for you to follow through. The phone contacts, the email address, the blog, the YouTube channel, and the Twitter handle are all displayed, so that when this program, 30 minutes program is done, then we can continue the dialogue and the conversation outside here on various and diverse platforms that you can follow the program through. Sir, you're most welcome to programming this all-important day, 11/11/19. really very nice here.
Right,
and Idi Molu to our Muslim faithful.
Oh, wonderful. And I wish them Barakah the Salah. Is it correct?
But that can go for every Salah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. My dear viewers there, please welcome to the program.
Okay, what are we looking at for today?
Part 2 of air travels and the challenges of disability. You remember a week and a half ago, the members of the people living with disability, you know,
at the protest press conference.
Yes, protest press conference, and during that press conference, they rolled out all the things that they wanted the government to ensure that they have, especially after President Muhammad Buhari signed into law the discrimination against people with disabilities prohibition, act, and so they were of the opinion that they are disrespected at our airports, and they are not allowed to get into the airplane with their wheelchairs, especially the motorized wheelchairs, and then those that they are offered at the airport are rickety, old, and should be thrown away according to them. And so we read out all they had to say, but then I thought we should follow up this morning with a part 2 to really get to understand this thing called disability. Like I said last week, anyone can be counted in anytime.
That's true.
We always ask God for his mercy, but even in the midst of that plea, somebody somewhere gets added on every day.
Right.
And so we should be concerned, because it can be anyone.
Right.
That's correct. So let's quickly run to click 1 and take it from there.
That's step 1.
Definition of disability. Excuse me. According to World Health Organization, WHO, disability, known also as functional impairment, is a human and health condition that may be cognitive, developmental, intellectual, mental, physical, sensory, or combination of any of these. It is a societal disadvantage arising from such impairments, present from the birth or occurring during a person's lifetime.
Right.
Disability substantially affects one's life activities. An umbrella term, disability covers impairments, activity limitations, and participation restrictions. While an impairment refers to a problem in body function or structure, an activity limitation is a difficulty encountered by an individual in executing a task or action. A participation restriction is a problem experienced by an individual in involvement in life situations. Disability is not only a health problem, It is also a phenomenon reflecting the interaction between features of a person's body and features of the society in which he or she lives.
Correct.
Can we move quickly to clip 2? Here we go.
Disability.
Definition of disability continues. Disability is a concept with different meanings in different communities.
Correct.
It may be used to refer to physical or mental attributes that some institutions, especially medical institutions, view as needing to be fixed, which represents the medical model. It may also refer to limitations imposed on people by the constraints of an ableist society. If you remind me, I'm going to explain a little more about this social model. Disability as a concept may also refer to the identity of disabled people. Physiological function capacity, PFC, is a measure of an individual's performance level that gauges one's ability to perform the physical tasks of daily life and the ease with which these tasks are performed. As physiological functional capacity, that is the PFC, declines with advancing age, it results in frailty, cognitive disorders, or physical disorders. All these lead to labeling individuals as disabled. As people with certain types of disabilities struggle to get equal access to some things in society, for example, a blind person who cannot read printed paper voting ballots cannot have access to voting that requires paper ballots. They will be happy if ballots are available in Braille or text-to-speech machines. Please, let's take note of all this whole thing.
Clearly.
Yes, and then...
it's an in-depth definition of disability.
That's correct, so that we can take a look at what we are doing as a people in Nigeria, not just only at the airports. Yes. I mean, you saw the example that's just been cited about, excluding the blind ones in our midst from participating in elections. I mean, there's no reason for those kind of things to happen. Absolutely no reason. The machines are affordable. We can afford them as a nation, and it's just for somebody to think through and be sensitive and do what is right. Well, I understand INEC is beginning to do something in that direction. I heard it in the news a few days ago. Now, clip 3. Wonderful. Types of disability. Often understood as a situation that produces a long-term impairment that affects activities of daily living, such as eating, walking, and maintaining personal hygiene. Disability is of many different types. Number 1, acquired disability. This is a disability that the person was not born with. Previously healthy people can succumb to Alzheimer's disease, usually known as AD, Alzheimer's disease, and consequently become disabled. Invisible disability. This is a disability that is not immediately noticeable. People with visual or auditory disabilities and who do not wear glasses or hearing aids or who use discrete hearing aids may not be obviously disabled, but they are really disabled, but you don't notice that. That's why it's described as invisible disability. And temporary disability. This is a disability that is expected to resolve over time. For instance, treatment for cancer is a typical example. All right? Can we move to clip 4? I want to run through very quickly because our time is not our friend now. Nigeria's Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2018. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that about 25 million Nigerians, that's about 5% of our total population, have a disability. Can you believe this?
Yeah, they may have, some may not be so noticeable.
That's why, I mean, remember we did with types, and we talked about the invisible ones.
That's true.
Yeah, and acquired ones, and the rest of them. And so, moved by this, I'll take it again so that my viewers will really follow. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that about 25 million Nigerians have a disability. Moved by this, President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act 2018. I don't want to tell you the history of this act and how it was horribly delayed in the past dispensation before President Buhari came to power, and all the drama that went on. Well, anyway, eventually it got to Mr. President, and he signed. And so we have an act. Well, I hope somebody is doing something to begin to implement the contents of that act. So let's look at some of the highlights of the law. And that include, number one, the act prohibits all forms of discrimination against persons with disability. Individual violators will pay a fine of 100,000 naira or term of 6 months in prison. Serious, isn't it?
Very.
And then 1 million naira fine awaits corporate violators. 2, public transportation is prohibited from discriminating against the people. Service providers must make provisions for the physically, visually, and hearing impaired and all persons, however challenged. This applies to seaports, railways, and airport facilities. So, it's comprehensive.
Detailed.
Number 3, the rights and privileges of people living with disabilities include education, health care, priority in accommodation, and emergencies. Can we go to clip 5 very quickly?
Clip 5 quickly.
So we continue with
clip 5, yeah.
the law. Highlights of the law, number 4. All public organizations are to reserve at least 5% of employment opportunities for these persons. Did you hear that? We're going to start checking soon. Remember, Beautiful Temple Attorney is still putting acts together to take off and take hold of this nation and give service to Nigerians. Number 5. The Act gives citizens with disabilities the right to file a lawsuit for damages against any defaulter. Number 6. The law provides for a 5-year transitional period within which public buildings, structures, or automobiles are to be modified to be accessible to and usable by persons with disabilities, including those on wheelchairs. Counting started in 2018. So by the time we do 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, by 2023, the law says that this whole thing must be set in this country. And I hope somebody is working at it. God keeping us all alive, we're going to ensure that these things are enforced.
That's good.
Number 7. Before a public structure is constructed, its plans shall be inspected by relevant authorities to ensure that the plan conforms with the building code. My dear viewers, please correct THA is supposed to be THE, the word there. That was a typographical error there. So I take number 7 again.
Okay.
Before a public structure is constructed, its plans shall be inspected by relevant authorities to ensure that the plan conforms with the building code. Number 8, a government or government agency, body, or individual responsible for the approval of the building plans shall not approve the plan of a public. Here again we have a typographical error. Public, P-U-B-L-I-C, and the U is missing. Please correct accordingly, my dear viewers. Plan of a public building, if the plan does not make provision for accessibility facilities in line with the building code.
Correct.
Clip 6, please.
Okay. Got some
Number 9. An officer who approves or directs the approval of a building plan that contravenes the building code commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine of at least 1 million naira or a term of imprisonment of 2 years or both. That's serious, isn't it?
But if that building plan is approved and it contains contravention, beside the fact that the officer will be serving jail term, the building plan must be discarded and a new one written.
I think it's implied. It's implied because, okay. I mean, it's an illegality ab initio and therefore cannot stand. All right, it's implied. But be sure, these things will be enforced. God keeping us alive and healthy. Be sure of that. Because we are putting things in place to take hold of Nigeria and get everyone sit up.
That's good. That's good.
Number 10. In Section 31 of the Act, the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities will be established, and an executive secretary will be appointed as the head of the commission. And I hope that executive secretary must be one of these ones I'm seeing on which you can see the photograph attached to this particular clip, and you see our fellow Nigerians, how they do their own mobility. And I would urge Mr. President, whenever you want to appoint the executive secretary, ensure he or she comes from amongst the
someone who feel the pinch.
That's correct.
The pinch.
You don't have an able person, taking charge of such a commission, and then you hope that he or she will understand exactly what they go through. It's not possible. So I am advocating that the executive secretary of that commission should be one of these ones we are looking at on the screen right now.
Very intelligent guys.
Yes, very intelligent people. Right. So let's go now to general discussions because we have exhausted our clips. And
okay, now
yes, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Tying this to all of this principle here, it appears that airports violate almost everything you mentioned here. Everything.
Correct.
Everything you mentioned here about the bill appears to just be what we violate constantly.
Our airports are not ready. Absolutely not ready. But the good news for the airports is that they have 4.5 years to do something. Because starting from 2018, the law provides for the next 5 years for everything that has been stipulated in that law to be in place. Okay. Accessibility to be given to all the disabled ones amongst us. And we have defined in this, disabled is not only about sitting on the wheelchair, no. There are a whole lot of, the blind ones are disabled, the ones that are hard of hearing are disabled, all kinds of, forms of disability. And so we must take this seriously. And as a matter of fact, at a point I thought that the fine provided is quite lenient. For corporate bodies, the fine should have been as high as 5 million. Because this, you see, we have a whole lot of big-headed individuals, taking charge of some of these organizations and not realizing that they are servants and not the boss. I don't know if you get the picture. The real boss are Nigerians. All right?
Yeah.
Good. And so as soon as people who are given the opportunity to head government agencies and organizations realize that they are there to offer services, they will be humble and thin out their heads and begin to look out for areas of challenges that solutions must be provided. And so I will always talk to my good friends, the FAN authorities, the Federal Airports Authorities of Nigeria. There's a whole lot of work to be done. The law is there. Don't wait until it catches up with you. I'm addressing FAN right now. It's an organization I really love. Yes. I really love because they take charge of the management of the airport. And so as friendly as I think I am to them, I hit hard when I see anything wrong. I don't hesitate in calling up somebody on phone and announcing it as hard as I can, that this is not acceptable, something must be done. A whole lot is going on behind the scene. But when I come in public, I also talk to them. So fine, get ready. You have 4.5 years to make our airports accessible to the disabled ones in our midst. And not just only those on wheelchairs, those that are blind, those that are hard of hearing, those that have one little, the old and the aged who cannot really, move around, freely and do things freely for themselves. We must provide for all these. We can afford them. It's about setting our minds to this and getting the job done. And so that's my counsel. And I hope somebody takes this seriously and begin today to work. There is no time to waste. 4.5 years may be long, but it's too short for the volume of job to be done. So let's get started right away.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Godwin Ike. Let's allow him some time to go enjoy the public holiday with the family and kids. Somehow I know by this day they will have asking you, why did you leave the house? Sometimes,
are you a prophet?
Women and
are you
children.
A prophet? I actually answered that question this morning.
We interrogate men these days. We know during our father period, our fathers we are lords. But these days you just want to go out and you find the mom interrogating you, the kids all interrogating you. You answer all the questions. And when they are finally releasing you, they give you time to quickly, please hurry back. And
my only little boy, in Nigeria with me today, woke up this morning and saw me dressing quickly and grabbing my bag to head out. And he said to me, "Daddy, today is holiday. Where are you rushing to?" I said, "Today is Monday. Have you forgotten?" Oh, and then he said, "Oh, ITV." I said, "Yes, smart boy."
Okay, thank you very much. Let's allow you go meet the family, have your time here. Thank you, Mr. Godwin Ike, a man who had grown outside estate Savio and Valua to come love aviation so dearly here, so dearly, and he's loving it with all his life, his body, and his soul. And wanting things to be done appropriately and correctly within the global aviation community, particularly focusing on Nigeria, seeing where he can actually create a revolution that we get air travelers in Nigeria travel with all the assurance that they are safe within the airport environment while they are on air, while they are descending, while they have touchdown, and everything within the full package called aviation. Do enjoy your wonderful public.
Right, thank you, my brother. Thank you. I really do appreciate you. And my dear viewers, next week we'll do part 3 and the concluding part and understand a little bit more about this issue of disability and how some advanced nations are dealing with it and some of the ailments that they have included in their own laws as constituting disability. We need to learn from them. That's why they are called advanced nations. I'm going to bring you all the information in part 3 and concluding part next week, and then hope somebody somewhere will pick some information from there and improve our newly signed law, and then get life livable and enjoyable for the disabled ones in our midst.
Thank you very much, Mr. Godwin Ike. On that note, we'll take a break. When we return from the break, it will be time for our next guest on This Morning on ITV on today, the 11th day in the 11th month, 2019, after this break.